So, Michael, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Good. This is a big year, 2026.
People say that about every year.
I know, but I mean, a year is a big deal.
It can't be true every year.
This year is the 250th anniversary of the United States, dating back to 1776. You do the math, you're right up to 2026. 250.
Yeah, can't argue with the math.
So there's a lot of big stuff coming onto the market. Christie's got a sale on the 23rd with...
Can I just interrupt you for a second?
Sure.
People are always using excuses for bringing things to the market or big sales. It all seems kind of fabricated to me, doesn't it to you?
I don't know. I mean, come on, it's marketing. What do you want?
Just saying, I'm not willing to be a buffoon for this charade anymore.
Yeah,
could be taken advantage of a little bit.
So you feel like you want to purify yourself of all this, like all the hijinks and the
hijinks. It's kind of hijinks. I was gonna say hoopla, but it's more hijinks.
Gimmicks, kind of gimmicky thing.
Yeah, definitely. So just say Christie's is having an important sale. That's all I need to know.
Okay. That's all you're going to get. Christie's is having an important sale on the 23rd, and they've got really marvelous, important American historical documents and, something to get excited about. There's a broadside printing the Declaration of Independence, other stuff, very good stuff. But there's another sale going on the 29th at Freeman's.
Okay.
And they're selling something that really got me excited when I read it. And actually, I will confess that I have seen this in person before some time ago.
Are you serious?
Yes. But when I saw it in the auction description, in the auction catalog, I was like, oh, I love this thing. So I read the description carefully. And, it just got me thinking about like big pictures.
You just walk along seeing
No,
things?
it was just whatever. It was in a context. But, if you put yourself in the right context, you'll see anything.
That's an interesting point.
So anyway, the 250th anniversary, and I think we're broadly at this moment when it's a time to reflect on and when I mean the most inclusive we here, that this is me and you and maybe other people out there in the world. You just kind of at a moment when you could say like, what do you want? What do you like better? Corruption and abuse of power, or on the other hand, justice and the public good?
Oh, are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
No, I'm sorry. I thought it was a rhetorical question.
Maybe not.
I want justice and the public good.
Well, I don't think everybody does.
I think, I think people will say that. But let's see if, I don't know if they act that way.
Yeah.
But everybody's going to say that.
But yeah, justice and the public good. I mean, that's.
I really mean it, though.
You do. And so that's pretty compelling. It's pretty compelling, I mean, when you've got that in front of you and the alternative is corruption and abuse of power, well, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer. Although, if you're in a position to be corrupt and abuse power, maybe it is not so much of a no-brainer. But anyway, we'll leave that, for the experts in the field. I don't know what the field.
Field of absolute power.
Yeah. Anyway, so what I got excited about is a letter that George Washington never sent. Well, he didn't send this copy of the letter. It's a letter that he did. He sent a letter to this guy. And so let me give you some historical context. 1789. And Washington is about to become the first president, right?
Yeah. I knew that.
Right. And he has not yet been inaugurated. And this guy from Philadelphia, a merchant, just like me and you, a merchant, writes to him. And this guy wants a job. Now, the guy, his name is Frederick File. So File writes to Washington, and he wants a job. And Washington says no. But he doesn't just say no. Washington, he writes, if the administration of the new government should inevitably fall upon me, I will go into office totally free from pre-engagements of every nature whatsoever, and shall, in recommendations to appointments, make justice and the public good my sole objects.
Oh, that's beautiful. No, I'm not joking. That is really beautiful.
That's cool.
Can I read that back to you? I'm looking at it now.
You read it to me. Go ahead. We'll just take turns.
Okay. I shall, in recommendations to appointments, make justice and public good my sole objects. Yeah. It's pretty clear.
So File wanted to get the inside track, and now File had a reputation as a drunkard. So he thought if he got in there early, maybe he gets the job. This is Washington's retained copies. This is not the letter that Washington sent to file. But Washington kept a copy for himself, and that's what this is. Okay?
And it's all in Washington's hand.
Yes.
That's
And
really cool.
But so, the twist here is that File ends up getting the job, but only after the process plays itself out.
Oh, I didn't see that coming.
Right. When you think about how important this moment is, right? Washington is about to become
what was the job?
Request for an appointment as a naval officer at the Port of Philadelphia. So File wants this job, and Washington it's this pivotal moment because think about it. In 1789, nobody knows what the presidency is going to entail. We don't know how the president will conduct himself or herself. Well, it's going to be him. But, and so we have this artifact where Washington is setting the course of his presidency and setting an example for subsequent presidents to aspire to. Now, some have fallen short, it seems, but Washington laid it out there. This is for the public good, justice and the public good.
I just found online, we do have the letter from Frederick File to George Washington.
Okay.
It's a long letter.
Woo! I guess if he wants the job, he was going to put out all.
No, so we're not guessing what happened here. He's clearly asking. He's asking for soliciting Your Excellency to be pleased to nominate me as naval officer for the Port of Philadelphia. You were correct.
Now, Your Excellency, that sounds a little bit of monarchical. But, in 1789, they didn't know was Washington just going to become a king under another name. And here we have this document where it's clear what his intentions are. And I've actually asked myself, why did he keep a copy for himself? Maybe it's like to keep himself true to his principles.
Well, that's a beautiful way of looking at it. We don't know that's the answer, but that's sweet. Yeah. I doubt he's not going to keep this and hang it on his desk, his own writing. Imagine writing something yourself and being like, oh, I'm so proud of myself on this letter. I'm so proud of this email I just sent.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's really cool, isn't it? We don't know what the presidency is going to be. And here we get a glimpse in this letter that precedes his first term. And this letter does give us a sense of what the presidency is going to be, and not just Washington's presidency, but what the public will then come to expect from presidents, setting in motion a virtuous cycle. And I think it's just a great thing. I love it.
Okay, this is on the Founders Online website, the National Archives website, actually. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. And, I'm wondering, I'm like, so what? He's asking for a job,
Yeah.
But you're right. So George Washington wrote File his usual non-committal reply that he would go into office totally free from engagements of every nature whatsoever. Okay, we have that. Apparently, there was a widespread suggestion in Philadelphia that File was unfit for a federal position because of habitual drunkenness. For GW received supporting letters for File refuting the rumor. He was appointed the naval officer in August 1789 and held the position until his death. So, did Washington, was he true to his word?
Because File got the job after Washington became president, and then the whole process of getting the appointment was in the course of official
business. It was
business.
properly done. You're saying it wasn't just like
right.
Look, I'm going to give you a favor, or you give me a favor,
right.
sort of thing.
Sure, I'll give you the job. Presumably, there was a process, and this is what's so great about these kind of things that surface is like. It could have been otherwise. Washington could have had a different character, maybe something that's a little bit more venal, for example, to pick out a word that,
nobody uses. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, and so you see this guy, this one fellow, George Washington, he did the right thing, and he did it privately, and he did it modestly too. In this simple letter that he sent to this Philadelphia merchant, it's not a declaration.
I like that. You're right. That's a good point. He did it privately. They're right. There's modesty. He's not expecting kudos for it.
Yeah, and he's also not trying to humiliate File for asking for a job. He just, he's laying down markers.
Okay, so let's pivot to this as a collectible item. So Freeman's, let me go back to the description. Freeman's headlines it with that line. It says, George Washington pens his philosophy for the presidency and his dedication to judgments based, quote, on justice and the public good. Well, that's a big sentence. Yeah, they're right for doing that. So,
and you don't get stuff like this from Washington.
Yeah, I think it is really important. I think you're right. Does it bother you that it's a retained copy?
I mean, it's all there is.
This File probably didn't keep it. He's probably like, that George Washington doesn't know how to play the game.
Right?
Probably threw away his copy.
Yeah. And so it says in the description, the finished letter sent by Washington to file has not been located, nor have we been able to locate any other drafts. Listen to this. The Library of Congress contains a letterbook copy, while Mount Vernon contains a photocopy. I wonder, is that the world's
photocopy
first...
of this letter?
Yeah. I wonder, is this the world's first photocopy?
No. Where's this letter been all this time? They have a provenance.
Yeah. Dr. Ellsworth Elliott Jr., New York surgeon, collector, historian. Well done, Elliott. Ellsworth. Well done.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Mount Vernon has a copy, so they knew of it early on.
And then it traded.
Or maybe Dr. Ellsworth Elliott Jr. gave him a copy because he lived from 1864 to 1945, so he's probably the one who gave them a copy.
And then check
really
this out.
Cool.
This sold previously in 2023 at the Rock and Roll Americana auction. Gotta have rock and roll auctions. Gotta have it, I think it's called.
That is so weird.
How does that happen? How do you... It's so crazy.
I have a George Washington letter. I'm going to consign it to Gotta Have Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
Well, that is so... Well, George Washington can be a rock star in a different...
Yeah. So anyway, the estimate, just, don't want to make too much of it, but I think it's really exciting. The estimate is $250,000 to $350,000. And, for Washington material...
You know what I like about a retained copy? And I'm seeing here? There are cross-outs and changes and all that sort of thing. So you are looking at him thinking.
Yeah.
I like that. In fact, there's something even nicer about that than a polished, finished copy, because you do. Yeah, he's really working on his words here.
Yep.
He's cool. Oh my gosh, he underlines totally. Oh, he underlines totally free. I'm looking at the actual text, and he underlines every nature. Free, not entanglements, engagements of every nature. And by sole objects, he underlines too. Wow. See, the little things like that, looking at the actual manuscript, that matters.
Makes a difference. Yeah.
I like it. You convinced me. I like it. I've been thinking, when you're collecting letters or documents, and there's somebody you really care about, somebody you're impressed with,
yeah,
and you're collecting, and you get to the bottom of the sometimes it's a manuscript leaf, and you see a signature,
yeah,
you're pretty excited, right?
Sure, that's what you want.
Yeah. Okay, so I was recently looking at some Charles Darwin manuscripts. You're looking down, and there's one that he signs, and you're like, "That's fantastic!" But then you're thinking, "Why is he signing this? It's a manuscript leaf."
Yeah,
like this isn't something he's thought to. But that one he gave to somebody. But the more authentic ones shouldn't be signed when you think about it.
Shouldn't be signed, right? Sure, of course.
But as a collector, you make a big deal, like, "Oh, it's signed," even though they're authentic. So you're not like, "Oh, if it's not signed, it's not authentic." You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's weird.
Yeah, you fetishize the signature. In collecting and that kind of thing.
Yeah, you do. I know. I struggle with that because I get that way. Sometimes I have a manuscript leaf from something and it's really awesome and you're 100% sure it's the person's handwriting. And if it doesn't, you have to apologize when you're showing it to somebody. You go, no, he didn't sign it. But trust me, it's his handwriting.
Thing.
Yeah. But why would you sign it? That would be ridiculous. Anyway, all of these thoughts have come to me because I was looking at the latest newsletter from the Rab collection, who always seems to have great offerings of letters, manuscripts, documents, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I've noticed the same thing. It seems a pattern.
It's a pattern. What a coincidence.
What are they up to? What are they doing?
I started getting deep into this letter. I think it was their featured one this week. It's from Winston Churchill.
I saw that. I like that letter a lot.
Okay, a really cool thing about the letter is, you see Churchill letters and you're thinking, it could be a wartime letter. That would be great. 1940s. Sometime when he's prime minister, but this is from 1899.
Yeah.
And he's 24, 25. It's right around his birthday. 25 years old. And he writes it from prison. Well, he's a prisoner of war.
Right. And his credentials as a journalist were not honored.
Yeah. Oh, well, the story is crazy. And Rab does a great job of giving you background to lead you up, prime you for the letter,
Although honestly, when I read that description, I kind of thought I'd like to see the letter first and then give me the background. The warm-up was too long.
I was ready. I was ready for the letter.
There are books like that. They jump right in and the action starts right away. And then there's other types of books, novels, and stuff, movies even, where you've got all this background development up front and then you get to the meat. I like it when if I had written that description, I would have reversed the order. I'm like, because when I got to the letter, I was like, whoa, this is blowing me away.
Well, no, that's the point.
I know, but I would have been blown away. Anyway, who cares? We're talking about the aesthetics of cataloging.
Well, you like doing that.
I know. I could do it all
It's one of
day
your
long.
habits.
I know. I think it's an underappreciated literary genre. Bookseller
I
catalog.
actually am not going to disagree with you on that.
Seriously?
Yeah, you should write your thoughts about it someday. Maybe in verse.
Oh, God. My tongue was in my cheek.
Yeah, okay. So, however they present it, I like the fact that they build it up. And so just a little backstory. Yeah. So Churchill's a journalist, but he wants to go to the front line, all this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's on a train, and the Boers, they throw rocks and stuff on the train tracks, and the train gets stuck. And anyway, and Churchill doesn't make it. They detach the engine, and the engine goes back and escapes. But Churchill's with the group that didn't make it in that engine.
Yeah,
not very kind of the fleers. Anyway, doesn't matter. He's a prisoner of war. Oh, they have a little detail here. I did not know this. When Churchill's like lying in a ditch and the Boers are coming down to see who's trapped.
These are humans, not humans.
Yeah, not wild Boers. So one of the soldiers has a rifle pointed at Churchill, and the detail that Rab gives, and I don't know where they got this from, probably from Churchill himself. Churchill reached for his pistol. He was going to fight back, and he didn't have it because it was on the train. And so then he surrendered. Well, it's a good thing. Think about these little moments in history. Say he takes that pistol out.
Yeah,
he gets shot. Boom. We don't know Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, that had nothing to do with the letter, but
yeah, let's go talk about the letter. The letter's pretty incredible.
So we get back to the letter, and he's in prison, but he's as we see, he doesn't take it that seriously. So he writes to Pamela Plowden on November 18th, 1899, and he was wooing her.
Yeah,
at the time
he proposed marriage.
Yeah, and she said no,
but they stayed friends.
I know, isn't that sweet?
It is sweet. I think that's great. Very healthy. I think it reflects well on both of them.
It does. When he became prime minister, she sent him a beautiful letter saying, I know you had this in you and all this sort of thing. And I don't know, it seemed free of any envy, like, oh, I could have been married to the prime minister. None of that, you know?
Yeah.
It seemed sincere. See? Anyway, so let me get to the letter. Now you're preventing me from getting to the letter.
Me? So, I did nothing here.
Okay. I'm going to read the Rab description of the letter now. Autograph letter signed from prison in Pretoria, November 18th, 1899, to Plowden, poignantly expressing his deep affection for her, mentioning his capture and hope of release. Here it is. Not a very satisfactory address to write from, although it begins with a P for Pamela. That's cute. Yeah. I dare say you know everything that happened, and more from the press. I expect to be released as I was taken quite unarmed and with my full credentials as a correspondent. But I write you this line to tell you that among new and vivid scenes, I think often of you. Yours always, Winston S. Churchill. A couple things here. One, he did not get released. He had to escape.
He escaped.
Topic for another time.
Well, no, it's not a topic for this time. That's why I like it.
Yeah, escape made him famous. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. My thing about this letter, what I love about it is that at this hinge moment in his life, in his career, where he's captured, as you say, he could have been snuffed out if he hadn't.
Yeah.
And he makes it, and he escapes, and that escape propels him into the, Oh,
he came home a national hero.
Yeah, exactly.
I read somewhere, like, I don't know, when he appeared in public, there was an applause for 10 minutes or something like that. Which that must be exaggerated.
Well, the other thing I love about the letter too is that he's vulnerable. It's not political. He's not looking back on, a lot of his letters, he's in a position of power. He's very much, and he's in prison. I mean, he's at the mercy of his captors, and they don't honor his press credentials, and he has to escape. I mean, it's so cool. It's the moment of the letter to me is just thrilling. And in the description, they note that there's only three such letters from captivity.
Because he ultimately wasn't in captivity that long because, the escape.
Right.
But I wanted to get to something else about the letter.
Do.
He's really, according to himself, he's really obsessed with Pamela Plowden and, wants to marry her.
Yeah.
Plowden?
I don't know.
So, he's trying to be affectionate.
Sure.
And then he signs it, yours always, Winston S. Churchill.
That is a little weird.
Yeah, it jumps at me. What? I mean, who? I don't even sign, like, it was a different time, I know.
Wait. But what was the nature of their relationship at this point? Is he just initiating the wooing and he's like puffing his chest out saying, look, I am Winston S. Churchill? Or do they have some kind of, is there some intimacy already?
He's not, but who is he, Winston S. Churchill at this point?
I don't know.
I am Winston S. Churchill.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, if this is his first overture or an early overture, then, you know, he'd probably say,
no, well, listen to this. This is great. So, no, they had been corresponding for a while. And this is November 18th, 1899. And a year earlier, November 28th, 1898, he writes a letter to her. And I found this in Christie's. So this was on the market years ago. And he's answering a charge from her. She accuses him of being, quote, incapable of affection. I'm throwing that out there. Because this letter we just read that Rab has, it's nice. It doesn't feel that, ultimately, it doesn't feel that affectionate.
It's funny because I was so interested in the letter itself and in the period in which it was written and the significance of it. It didn't occur to me like Winston S. Churchill, that's a weird thing to see. But when you frame it this way, he's kind of flirting with this woman, he's wooing her, and he has to go for the full Winston, the S, like,
yes.
Don't.
Yeah. Wait. So the letter that I'm talking about from November 28th, 1898, he's responding to her accusation that he's, quote, incapable of affection. He actually calls her on it. He goes, in response to her, this is Christie's description, in response to her charge that he is, quote, incapable of affection, I love one above all others, and I shall be constant. My love is deep and strong. Nothing will ever change it. I might, it is true, divide it, but the greatest part will remain true till death, Winston S. Churchill. So he signs that one, Winston S. Churchill, too. Now, okay.
Now, Churchill was, had a very good sense of humor. I mean, he was a funny guy.
This is...
Oh, you don't know. The context. That may have been a wink.
Well, I was, for some bizarre reason, really curious about this. So I went to later's letters to her. Mm-hmm. Not much later, like months later.
Yeah.
And he starts signing it, Winston and stuff like that. So he does drop the whole Winston S. Churchill.
This is after.
So he goes to Winston S. Churchill, all that stuff. And then he starts dropping it.
It's possible that he wasn't getting anywhere with the Winston S. Churchill.
Mix it up.
Yeah, well, now I'm going to try a different approach. Maybe I'll get somewhere with that. But
this is, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here because...
Why not? That's what this whole thing is about. That's what the rare book and manuscript world is about, is the weeds.
I know, but I wish I had noticed this earlier when I've been looking at letters like years ago, because it'd be a funny thing to document. But I did find a letter writing manual, very influential letter writing manual from 1876.
So you looked this up?
I looked this up because I'm like,
okay.
What is normal? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, all right, listen to this. All right, every letter should be signed. Okay, this is from the letter manual. This direction seems superfluous, and yet it is not so, for many a letter is carelessly sent without signature, leaving the receiver to guess, if he can, by whom it is written. The whole business about your full name is clear in this letter writing manual. They talk about the respect. I was reading about letters from kids to their parents, and the parents deserve such respect and titles and all this sort of thing. I'm like, you're writing your father, and you have to be like, your obedient son, Winston S. Churchill.
But in those days, people, you'd address a parent as father, and you'd like.
No, it's more than that. It's putting your full name in the end.
And you'd hand him his belt so he could thrash you.
That's too dark. Don't go there.
No. Okay.
Wait, here's what it says about writing to your father. I found the passage. In writing to a father, for example, after having satisfied the claims of affection and kinship by the use of such terms as dear father, your affectionate daughter, etc., it is proper to satisfy the claims of politeness and the pride of manhood by giving his full name, together with any title or titles of courtesy or distinction that are justly his due. One should be as polite to his father as to anyone else. How many of the boys and girls of today forget this?
This is from 18 what?
1876.
Yeah, have you ever read Kafka's letter to his father?
Well, yeah.
Right?
That does not have the same affection.
Oh, it's very polite.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's not how I remember it.
Deferential, but biting.
Anyway, I remember the biting part.
But not knowing.
I have to think about it. There's a difference there.
Cartoon Kafka. I think Kafka's hilarious. I mean, we've talked about this, but I just recently reread The Trial
Oh, we've got to get into that because I just started again this morning, the trial.
Okay. It is
based on your extolling it.
I know. I've been texting you passages. It is hilarious. There are passages that are absolutely hilarious. I know it's kind of a dark ending, but it is funny. It's funny.
That's not something you realize when you read it as a youth. Do you ever think of that when you're young and you read it, a quote unquote important book? You're like, oh, it's got to be really serious. It can't be funny.
Yeah.
That's so wrong.
When Kafka came on the scene, Thomas Mann said of him that he was like a variant of Robert Walser, the Swiss writer, who's very funny. And his book Jacob von Gunten is, to me, one of the funniest books ever written. The trial, to me, if you take out the ending, the trial reads like a mashup of Beckett and Lewis Carroll.
Did you come up with that yourself?
Yeah, I just came up with that as I was.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, thanks. Anyway, we were talking about Winston Churchill.
But something this book, The Art of Writing, scintillating reading, I might add.
This is and this is the book about letters.
Yeah. Something they said, if I read it correctly, if I interpret it correctly, they said that one of the reasons you put your full name down is because letters often get separated from their envelopes, and then they end up in a dead letter office, and there's no full name, and then what are you supposed to do? And there's this whole riff in this book, like, oh, if it's just Susie or Fanny or whatever, how do you know who that is? Yeah. So there might be a real reason. We might be being too hard on Winston.
Yeah. Hemingway has signed letters with all sorts of comedic variants of his name.
I like that.
Yeah. Did Winston Churchill ever do that? Did he ever sign Winnie or anything like that?
WSC later. I've also looked at a lot of Flaubert letters, another interest of mine, and he signs them like -G or -à toi. These are ones to his mistress or somebody close.
Yeah.
Because why would he sign it Gustave Flaubert after he sends a love letter?
Yeah.
That's just freaky.
Ian Fleming does that. He has a signature. He doesn't put his name in his,
what do you think from the author, though?
It depends on the context, but I mean, if it's to somebody, an intimate relation, that's really, to me, very tacky.
Tacky, yeah, it's cold.
Yeah. I mean, then there's also like the authorial identity, that like, that
the author.
Yeah, exactly. That can be a little creepy in itself.
The author.
But now, from the perspective of the collector, you want that because now you've got this figure. You may want, depending on your perspective, but a lot of people will want that because, like, oh, this is my favorite writer. This is the great writer. This is the great so and so. And so you want the full signature because, like, oh, there it is.
No, I'm saying just from the author, no signature.
I know. I know.
I don't like that.
What?
I don't like that.
Well, what if you're the recipient? You happen to be the person's lover or their, best friend. Then you get
more than from the author.
Well, but that's horrible. Right? That's like dehumanizing.
We're on the same side. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Because then it's all about me. It's not. There's no generosity. There's no recognition of the other person.
TSI would cross out the printed name.
I know.
And write
Auden did that too.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Really?
It's saying the printing is too cold for you. I know you.
Yeah, but then it's still steering attention towards your own name. Like,
that's why you're signing it.
No, why can't you just say, like, hey, I hope you like the book. See you at the ball game next week.
And then we, as dealers years later, say, I wonder who signed this.
But let's go back to Winston. I think I'm not, I hadn't even considered the signature part, but I just think this is a great letter. And I think at $75,000, I think it might be a little cheap. Honestly, because if you think about it, this is capturing a moment in his life. It is a turning point. And it's not just that the letter dates to this, this precarious moment, but it also captures so much of what's going on. His vulnerability, his uncertainty. He thinks he's going to be released. He has to escape. And when
he might be reading too much into it.
You think so? I think it's a great letter.
No, I actually do think it's a great letter.
The Churchill that comes through in so many other letters and inscriptions, the confident Churchill, the celebrated Churchill, all this. This is really a vulnerable young guy who...
You have to care a lot more about Winston Churchill than the movement of history. Winston Churchill, the person.
Yes, that's interesting. But at the same time, it is, Winston Churchill, the historical figure, comes into view virtually immediately after he writes his letter. This moment is what propels him to fame and into Parliament and in being, a national figure.
That's a good argument. I also like the bravado of like, yeah, I'm going to be released. Do you know what I mean? I love that attitude. That refills something too.
It does. Yeah. You can see.
You're winning me over now.
Yeah. I mean, Neville Chamberlain would not have written this letter. He is an appeaser.
He would have been like, "Oh, I should be arrested. Keep me here longer." What are you talking about?
I don't know. I think it's pretty obvious that under no circumstances would Neville Chamberlain have ever written this letter. And I just wanted to mention it. And that kind of highlights some of the differences between Chamberlain and Churchill.